I'm okay. I guess you are okay too. At this point, we are going to discuss about two types of essays, and the first one is the process essay. Okay, a process paper either tells the reader how to do something or describes how something is done, and this is the process. There are two types of process essay. The first one is the directional process essay, and the second one is the operational process essay. Let's take a look at each of these. What is the directional process essay? This one is where we discuss about instructions in a step-by-step format. For example, a recipe. Hey, for example. So you explain the reader or the audience step by step the process. This is the directional. And then we have the second one, and what is an operational process essay? In this type, you can explain or analyze the process, but it cannot be performed. Just to analyze the process. And this is the one we are going to use in international relations. The process essay steps. There are 5 very easy steps. Number 1, consider your audience and choose a topic. Step number 2, collect relevant information. Okay, the one that you are going to include in your process. Number 3, compose a draft. Focus on important points that you are going to include in your process. Number 4, look for any mistakes. You have to check. And number 5, correct your mistakes while writing the first draft. Okay, let's continue with the narrative essay. And this is a story about your experience, either imaginary or real. It can also tell a story of somebody else, and that's the narrative essay. The components of a narrative story, we have the plot, character, setting, and descriptions. So remember, we combine narrative and descriptions. The narrative essay follows the storytelling linear plot. And what is this? Here you can say the exposition, the rising action, then we have the climax, falling action, and the resolution. The beginning, the exposition, is the beginning. With the rising action, we go to the climax, that's the middle, falling action, and then we have the end of the story, or that's the resolution of your story. Let's take a look at the beginning. Introduce. In the beginning, introduces and describes the people, place, and time of a story. Okay? So we say, the beginning, we say the plot. So most of the time we say, once upon a time, you start your story, okay? The middle. Here is middle, okay? This one can have several paragraphs. Also can describe more action and activities and events involving your main characters. In this one, the main characters are expanded. The end of your story resolves the complication or resolve the problem. And a story with a twist. Leave the reader with a question or a mystery. And remind the readers of the central message of your story. And that's the end. Okay, the resolution. What's the point of view in which you will narrate your story? Describes or narrate from which character's perspective the story is presented to the audience. Try to be consistent. So the narrative essay has to be narrated or tells from the first person point of view or from the third person point of view. The first person is say, you are included in the story. Maybe you are the main character of the story. And also you can tell the story from the third person point of view. He, she. Things to remember while you are writing your narrative essay. Always use past tense. Remember, events has already finished. Okay, so it's in the past tense. Describes events in the chronological order. What is first, then next, after that, at the end. Don't use too much dialogue because you're going to sound monotonous for the reader. Use sensory details when describing something. Here you are combining description, the 5 senses, okay? Use descriptive language. Be verbs, adjectives, adverbs, but don't overuse them. Thank you for your attention. I hope you have questions at the end.